Hi guys, I'm Mandy and I talk about creativity and finding your purpose. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to set goals when you are a creative person, because the way that we need to approach this is a little bit different than if you're just like doing analytics or doing something more quantitative. So as a creative person, you have a unique relationship with your art. And as I'm reading through everybody's comments, one common theme that I'm hearing is, we're all in different places in our relationship with our art. Some of us are finding that spark again. Some of us are deep inside of it. Some of us have really just like not picked it up in a long time, but we want to. We have that yearning, right? And so having creative goals isn't just as easy as like, oh, let's approach this like we would approach business and use SMART goals, right? It's more like there's this deep well of creativity that we have to learn how to access. And we have to create systems that allow us to regularly access that. Otherwise, it feels like we're sort of running on empty, or we're doing something without inspiration or without guidance or without connection to something deeper and something more unnamed and invisible, right? So as a creative, one of the main questions that we wrestle with is, how do we move forward? How do we either reignite this relationship with our creativity, or how do we be effective channels so that we are taking in the creative insight and inspiration and then actually producing something, actually finishing something. When I was in business school, everybody was kind of obsessed with this idea of like a lean one-page business plan. And it basically was this way of taking 12 disparate kind of concepts around like what are the fundamental parts of the business or the project that you're working on, and how do you break that into an organized flow. I love a one-pager, I love a worksheet, but I also was like, this format is great, but the questions and the structure is not really going to work for a creative mind, or it will, but it's not going to be the correct kind of like on-ramp, and it's also not the correct posture, because in the business world, a lot of times it's focused around outcomes, it's focused around revenue, and it's focused around productivity and efficiency. And while those concepts, of course, are also important when it comes to creativity and art, right? It's the yin and the yang. It also is not really capturing that sort of mystical unknown quality. And so what I've done is I've created a one-pager. It's called the Creative Goal Setting Worksheet, and I will share it on the screen. Feel free to screenshot it. I've tried to make it easy enough that if you literally wanted to draw it for yourself on a page, you could. I also am going to link it below if you want to just download it for free. But it's not one of these like, give me your email address. Like, I literally don't care. It's a Google Drive link. Like, please just take it. Okay, we're practicing abundance. So the idea of this worksheet is it's something that I hope you would print off multiple times and come back to, because part of being in relationship with our art is that it has an iterative quality. It's not like one and done. It's not like you're going to write this up and then this becomes your map forever. I'm actually going to show you how I even came up with this, okay? And just to show you, this was the iteration. Okay? So it started with a basic sketch of like, what are some of the ideas or frameworks that I would ask myself when coming up with a creative goal. I then was like, and with each time I filled it out for myself to kind of see where are the holes, right? Here's the second version. It's getting a little bit, it's coming into focus a little bit more. I just did these last night. Then I went into my computer and actually did a mock-up of it. I was like, I really want this part to be like more like funnels. There's like a relationship between this middle part. And then I just kept iterating. I was like, circle, I don't know about this. Finally landed on, this was this morning, so landed on this version that we're going to use today. So there are 6 parts of this, and we're going to just take it piece by piece. All right, so the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to articulate your creative goal. Okay, and we're not going to think too hard about this. It's just going to be the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so some examples that I have here are, for example, if you are a writer and you wanted to finish chapter 1 or you wanted to finish part 1 of your draft, okay, you're going to write that down inside the heart here. Or if your goal would be, okay, I want to finish this painting series. I've done 2 out of 4 and then I just abandoned it and I'd really like to get back to it. Okay, again, write it here. Or if your goal is, I want to start a YouTube channel, which I'm seeing a lot in my comments and I just love, write that here. Okay, so this becomes kind of the grounding center of your goal worksheet. Okay, so the first box that we're going to do, the whole point of all of this is to get you hyped up. Like the whole point of this is to get you grounded and reminded of your own greatness. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, it's the box called My Past Successes, because you need to remember that you have done amazing things before. And I don't care if it was 10 years ago, that still lives inside of you. That capability, that potential is there. It's alive. It may be dormant, but this is the way that we sort of call that power back. Right? So my past successes, and this is going to be related to your goal. Okay. So let's say the goal is the first draft. Well, somewhere, somehow, and I don't even care if it was high school AP English class. Okay. Somewhere, somehow, there is a writer inside of you. So I want you to remember the times, and you just write out the bullet points. Okay. Remember the times that you were great. Remember the times that you tapped into that creativity and produced a result. Okay. There is no timeline here. I don't want you to be bound by, oh my gosh, but that was ages ago and I don't even know who that person is anymore. There is a remnant, a splinter of that person living inside of you, and we're just going to remember that they existed. Okay? I want you to write 3 or 4 examples of your past successes. Okay, the second section is called Things That We Say No To. Now, when it comes to your creative vision, part of that magic is having focus. Okay? So, as you start tapping into your creativity, other people are going to notice that you're great. And they're going to start asking you things. Hey, can you just help contribute to my art? Or hey, can I borrow your project management skills so that you can help my business grow? Okay, there will be so many small requests on your time, on your attention, on your talent. And here is where we say lovingly, kindly, but firmly, absolutely not. It's just a no, because part of saying yes to your dream is to say no to other things. Okay? I'm going to give you such a silly example. In my thing, I wrote the things that I'm going to say no to, because I used my example of like growing my YouTube channel, right? And so one of the things I put on here for under the say no category was I wrote say no to LinkedIn. Because like I could give 2 shits about being a LinkedIn person. I don't care. For now, I don't care. Maybe longer term, that's going to be part of the strategy. Kill me. I don't want to do it. I hate it. Like LinkedIn's so corporate, blah, right? But there's also a part of me that's like, Mandy, you should be posting more on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I just gave myself permission to be like, no, because I don't want to. I just don't want to. So the third part in this, which I think is important to kind of get over some of the emotional humps to getting started, because sometimes it's just hard to get started. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to write out some of the steps in your creative process. Okay, so for example, if you are a writer, some of the steps, like it sounds so stupid, but literally it's like open up the correct browser on my computer, get a tea, turn off my phone, brainstorming phase, writing phase, editing phase. Like try to break out your process into steps, into things that you can understand. Like, oh, these are the different ingredients that I need when I'm making my art. For me, I just feel like this is so useful because then when you think about, gosh, why is it so hard to get started? It's like, yeah, because there's 7 steps. There's so many different parts of your brain that you need to activate in very subtly different ways. But if you can zoom out and then see, oh, okay, so there's sort of this pre-planning phase, there's an actual creation phase, there's organization, there's cleanup, there's editing, there's posting, there's like 95 different little steps. You can also start to recognize like, okay, maybe there are ways that I can bundle certain things, or maybe there are certain times of the week that I'm going to be more inclined to do certain things rather than others. It just helps to understand what is your process. What do you need to set up and then knock down in order to make great art? The 4th step of this little template is a to-do list for this week. Okay? So as you're going through and you're thinking about what have been some examples of my greatness in the past? What are the things that I'm going to block out and intentionally say no to for now? What are the steps in my creative process? This is probably going to start triggering some ideas for you. Because a lot of times it'll be like, okay, I'm hyped up. I feel it. I'm excited. But then what do I do? Like, I don't know how, like, what are my marching orders for today? What are my marching orders for this week? And the reason I do this week is because I just feel like anything more than that can get a little overwhelming. And so the idea is maybe this is actually something that you do once a week. And it's like maybe Sunday night or Monday morning, you sit down and like, because I want you to think about your relationship with creating as constantly changing. Okay, so something that you wrote last week is like actually no longer even going to be relevant this week. And so to get into this habit of having this sort of wave-like changing, moving relationship, and that you're just capturing it, you're just getting your marching orders for this week. So this is where you're just going to write down things as they come up. Oh, okay, yeah. I do want to like fix that pencil sharpener that is like stopping me from using the pencils, which is stopping me from making the thing, you know what I mean? Or like, oh, I think for this week, what I want to focus on is I want to do 2 of this kind of medium. And then I want to switch, like just dump it here. Okay. The 5th part is called creative mantras. And this is where you can get a little bit reflective on your relationship with your creative energy. I'll give you some examples. So if you wanted to write some mantras for yourself, some positive mantras, things like keep going, don't give up, you're on to greatness, you have untapped potential, like those types of positive mantras, like you can write them here. It can also be a space for you to talk about what creativity gives you. So how do you feel when you're in the flow? What are the fruits of your labor after you've been creative? The reason I say this is because oftentimes just to get started can feel really hard, or we can feel a little bit disconnected from our reason for why we're doing it. But if you can write down sort of the afterglow of, wow, after I do this, I feel connected, I feel grounded, I feel closer to myself, I feel closer to my own potential. If you can write down those facts, if you can make those become mantras for yourself, then when you're feeling unmotivated, which obviously is like gonna happen, right? When you're feeling unmotivated, you can come back to your own words. You can come back to your own insights of like, oh yeah, okay, right. I think I'm gonna feel better after I do this. Let me take, and then you look at to do this week. Okay, I know I'm gonna feel better. So let me go to my to-do this week. What is one small thing I can do? I could spend 20 minutes working on XYZ, right? So this bottom section, let me explain the kind of relationship between these 3 boxes. The first is sort of this immediate. These are these initial steps that you're going to take. This is the inspiration. This is the spark, okay? The middle part is really grounding you in that reminder of why. What is it about this project that is going to honestly heal you? Okay. And then the third part is future looking. So the third part is called big picture milestones. All right. So this is big picture milestones is the 6th part of this little worksheet. Big picture milestones, these are things in the future that you can project that will be sort of markers of your success, sort of clues that you're going in the right direction. And I do feel like most of these things are internal, but we do need to have one area where it's like these are the external markers that will prove to you that you're making progress. I intentionally kept it last because I feel like when you start with this, it kind of messes with your mind, honestly, and it gets you kind of obsessed with too much output, and that's not good. But as you move through the process, it is nice to know like, oh, that's like in reach. I'm almost there, right? So these would be very tactical things like, okay, I've written 20 pages of the manuscript. I've written 50 pages of the manuscript, right? These are tangible things. Like even a big milestone doesn't have to be a success milestone. It could be an input milestone. So let's say you are trying to pitch your art to like a gallery or some kind of exhibition, right? So a milestone doesn't have to be I got into the exhibition. A milestone could be I pitched to 2 exhibitions. Like that in itself is also something to have as a goal because that's something you can control. Okay, so be careful, like have some of these things that you can control and then have some of these things be like the external world that you have no say over. Okay, so to recap, right, we've talked about these 6 areas in the worksheet, and they are first, reminding yourself of your success. Like none of this is an accident. You have done parts of this before. You can replicate that success. That person that had success in the past still lives inside of you. You can recall them and you can encourage them to come back out. Second is like, there are some things that you are going to have to say no to, and you don't want to because you feel guilty or you don't want to disappoint people, but like just say no, because honestly, if you want to get here, if you want to get to your goal, there are things that you're going to have to politely decline because your time and your energy is your most important asset. 3 is breaking down the steps to your own creative process, because the better that you understand yourself and all of the moving parts, I mean, you are a freaking artist and a scientist. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are so many moving parts to what you're doing. It is like crazy how you're doing this and how you're actually pulling in all of these disparate threads and weaving them in real time. You're like basically on a unicycle. Okay. So I need you to break out these steps also just to remind yourself, like, no wonder you're a little bit tired, or no wonder you're intimidated, or that you feel this is hard. It is hard. What you're doing is hard, and it's also amazing because you're doing it. Okay, so give yourself credit for that. 4th is we're going to ground ourselves in reality and come up with simple to-do lists of small tasks, small, easy, low-hanging fruit tasks that you can do this week to help bring you closer to your goal. Okay. 5th, we are going to remind ourselves of how this creativity is actually healing for us, how it is regenerative, how it makes us feel when we are connected to a greater creative higher power. And so this is where the creative mantras come in. I want you to do a little reflection, a little meditation on your relationship with creativity and what you're getting out of it. You have to remind yourself, what am I getting out of this, right? All of the beautiful fruits of your labor go here. And see how these are connected? You have to say no so that you can say yes. And finally, we are going to dangle some carrots in front of us by listing out some big picture milestones. Just some things like, okay, I made it to 1,000 words. I made it to 5,000 words. Oh my gosh, the manuscript is 10,000 words. Like, you need to have those milestones to also, because we can get in our heads, you know, as creatives, we can fall into the rabbit hole. We can fall deep into the tunnel. And then suddenly we're like, what is time and space? What is reality? Like, I'm just a floating creature of atoms. Like, I don't even know, right? And so part of it is also grounding us in, oh, hey, so just so you know, you're on the path to awesomeness. Here are some ways to remind yourself, oh, yes, I am on the journey. I've made it 25%. I've made it 50%. I'm almost there, right? So just having those big picture milestones here. And so hopefully the goal is you've written all of this down. And by the way, like free flow. I would handwrite this. I would handwrite it unless you're a digital journaler. Go for it. Do you. But I feel like this should just be like, okay, I'm sloppy. Sloppy's fine. Okay, just get it on there. Get it on the page. I think this is something that you could print out, spend 10 minutes on, and maybe that's just something you do every couple of days, every week, every month. Don't be precious about this. Like, just have it almost like just like something like a little reminder, a little touchstone, a little like, oh hey you, oh yes, I was in a great creative mood yesterday, and now I'm in a terrible mood today, and I'm unmotivated. But okay, right, okay, yes, I could read this, and I could keep myself motivated, keep myself on track. I hope this is helpful for you. If you guys like these sorts of worksheety template things, let me know. I love doing this. Like, this is how my brain works. I have like a creative operations brain. So I love this kind of thing. I love a worksheet. I love a workbook, as you guys know. So if you like this kind of thing, I'm happy to just like make more and, you know, let you guys run with them. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is so fun, and I will just keep coming back and making more videos for you. Okay. Bye.